Tonight on WJTV 12, here we got 3 students arrested on the Jackson State University campus and how their peers are reacting.
Plus, we talked to lawmakers about why they weren't willing to roll the dice on a state lottery. And we're bringing you part 2 of our opioid epidemic report. See 2 men who are finding their way to recovery after hitting rock bottom.
And tonight will be our coldest night of the week. Clear skies, very light winds will help temperatures drop into the 30s, but we will stay above freezing by sunrise tomorrow morning. Big warm up expected during the day tomorrow and over the weekend. You'll see that forecast coming up in 14 minutes.
WJTV 12, getting you answers, starts now.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Fake cash, a weapon, and marijuana were all found in a dorm at Jackson State University. 3 students are now behind bars.
WJTV's Andrew Demore has been tracking this story from the very beginning. He joins us now live from Jackson State. Andrew, how are students reacting?
Well, Byron, I talked to students today, and they're still trying to figure out and wrap their minds around how these students and why these students had that counterfeit cash, marijuana, and that weapon. They say it just gives the university a bad rap.
It's really not a good look as far as Jackson State.
Students react.
I feel like there's a lot of negativity going on right now, especially with Jackson State, and just kind of adding just fuel to the fire.
To the recent arrest of 3 Jackson State students, JSU officials tell us Jeffrey Johnson, Roderick Hibbler, and Khalil Anderson are all behind bars tonight. This after the university's police force say they found $10,000 of counterfeit cash, some marijuana, and a 9mm gun inside the University Point dorm, formerly known as the Palisades.
Where do you even have the sources to print those kind of things?
Investigators say during a routine dorm check, they noticed suspicious activity and then came back with a warrant. Students say it may be a bad look, but they are relieved.
I'm just glad the security was stepped in on time, because if finding a weapon and that many drugs, they must be up to something.
Yeah, those 3 students are now at the Hinds County Jail. They face a number of charges, including possession of marijuana and possession of a weapon on school property. For now, we are live here outside of Jackson State University. I'm Andrew Demore, WJTV.
Thank you, Andrew. Counterfeit money has also been found at 2 Ellisville businesses in the past week.
Now, police are urging people to be cautious. Investigators tell us that the 2 bills were both found this week in the city. The bills look real, but they feel different and have different wording on both sides. We're told the fake money is used as movie props.
It's also a federal offense, and it is a felony under federal law to pass these bills. These bills will be sent to the Secret Service, and it'll go from there.
Well, police tell us the bills were identical and had the exact same serial number.
Mississippi lawmakers passed 3 measures today that could strengthen the governor's power. Senators voted to allow Governor Bryant to appoint the director of the Department of Mental Health. Supporters say the governor should control agencies the same way the president does on a federal level. Critics claim that the mental health agency was targeted after complaints about budget cuts. The House also passed a bill that would give the governor the power to veto any new regulations from certain boards. And in an update to a story we brought you last week, House representatives removed a block on a bill that would remove state workers from the State Personnel Board. This means agency heads can fire many state employees without going through civil service procedures. Democrats say this will allow politically motivated firings, while Republicans say agency heads will be able to manage more efficiently with the power to fire freely. Hitting the jackpot in a state lottery does not look promising this legislative session.
Well, the lottery bill died before the House could even address it. And as WJTV's Lauren Fluker explains, one state representative believes luck is running out for that bill.
Trying your luck with the lottery in Mississippi may not happen as soon as you think.
I think the misnomer with the lottery is that they believe it's going to bring in a lot of money, and it's not.
Back in January, in his State of the State address, Governor Phil Bryant asked lawmakers to consider a lottery. But that didn't happen today at the Capitol because the bill died before the House could even vote.
I know that people believe that this may be a save it for education or save it for roads and bridges. That's just not the case. The money's not there in a lottery with everyone, all the surrounding states having it.
Representative Richard Bennett says the state is behind the curve and would have to compete with other states to bring this expensive operation to Mississippi.
It does cost a lot to have a lottery, and you would have to set up a commission outside of the gaming commission and that's how they've done in other states too. It's a whole organization to set up, and then the payout is a big part of that money also.
While it seems the lottery bill is running out of luck, the fantasy sports betting bill is heading to the Senate.
It will go through background checks just like casino operators do, and they're going to have to show that they have the money to pay the payoffs and everything else.
Officials say the sports betting bill will allow agencies like FanDuel to join the state's casinos that rake in around $400 million every year.
It's not going to be a windfall of money, although they will be taxed at the same rate the casinos are taxed at, the 8% tax. And also they will have to buy a license, just like a casino. And they will be regulated, and the reason for that is to protect the consumer mainly.
Lauren Fluker, WJTV 12.
There is still a slim chance for lottery provisions this session. There is a possibility that the Senate could add the lottery to a revenue bill, but there are no proposals at this time. If nothing else, the lottery bill will be considered next year.
State lawmakers failed to take any action on a bill that would change school funding. The deadline was 8 o'clock tonight, but the House adjourned around 4 p.m., well before they got to House Bill 1294. Now that bill, along with Senate Bill 2607, have been called dummy bills or placeholders with little to no information about how education funding would change. Republican Senator Gray Tolson told WJTV yesterday that details would be released and any changes would be based on recommendations from EdBuild. Today, no details, and that could mean it will come up back later in a special session.
Let's wait till next year. What is the rush to race this and do it? You're racing in the dark and with no public transparency.
And the governor has already stated that he didn't have a problem with calling us into a special session, and that assumes that we have something ready to go.
In a joint statement, Speaker of the House Philip Gunn and Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves said in part, "We are dedicated to revamping the current formula, which is seriously flawed and needs to be replaced with a plan that focuses on student needs in the classroom." The Mississippi Legislative Democratic Caucus chairs also issued a statement in response to Gunn and Reeves. It says in part, "We're pleased to see that the legislative leadership has agreed with us that a slower, more studied approach to the issue of education funding is the better course during this session." They also encourage leadership to fully fund the current formula.
People living in South Jackson might have little to no water pressure this weekend thanks to repairs on a water line. We first told you about this water main break on Forest Avenue last month. Now the city is bringing a contractor in to make an emergency repair to the 48-inch pipe. That work could lead to a loss in pressure starting tomorrow and ending early Sunday. Once the work is complete, those affected will be under a boil water advisory.
The front door of a Jackson business is severely damaged after an ATM smash and grab. The incident happened at the Citgo on Northside Drive. Jackson police got to this scene where they say a couple of men in a white Chevy pickup truck hooked a chain to the front door and then took the ATM. We spoke to the owner who told us about $8,000 was in that ATM.
Hancock County deputies arrest 3 men for throwing a party in a dead man's home. Officials say that these 3 men knew the men who are currently in charge of the house, but he is now in jail on a drug charge. So Carl Wynn, Gabriel Marinell, and Michael Hester Jr., they kicked in the door and they threw a party. Well, Sheriff Ricky Adams says that the intruders caused a lot of damage. They are now facing charges for residential burglary and malicious mischief.
We continue tonight with Mississippi's opioid epidemic and the road to recovery.
In Mississippi, we have had multiple deaths just this year because of the drugs. Opioids or painkillers are taking the lives of 78 people every single day across the country.
But tonight, WJTV's Mallory Pullen speaks to 2 men who came out on the other side of the disease.
Took opiates, painkillers, prescription. I liked, basically anything illicit that could get me out of myself.
Like many addicts, Joshua Horton's addiction followed a pattern, and it started at age 13.
We've got a lot of alcoholism and addiction in my family.
He was behind bars when he finally hit rock bottom.
I was sitting in a jail cell in Atlanta, Georgia with 57 felonies, or somewhere around there.
And he says he was still intoxicated while he stood before the judge, but he got a break.
She looked at me and she told me she saw something in me, and she threw out all the charges.
All of his felonies gone. Joshua decided to start over in Itawamba County, Mississippi. While he didn't go to a rehab facility, he immersed himself in the recovery community.
And I had some good men that loved me until I could learn how to love myself.
He enrolled at Itawamba Community College.
And from there, I learned that, I could do school. From Itawamba Community College, I earned a full scholarship to the University of Mississippi in Oxford.
He graduated magna cum laude and will soon graduate from Ole Miss Law.
The worst sound to me in the world is that door slamming behind you.
Like Joshua, Johnny Overby started using drugs at just 13 years old.
It led me to a decision of choosing crystal as my drug of choice, to choosing crack as my drug of choice.
Decades of drug use and at least 3 or 4 times in jail, it was when he landed in the Rankin County Detention Center the second time things changed.
I had lost everything from my home to my wife to basically I felt like I'd lost my complete life, my family, everything. You're in that cell and it's nobody but you, and that's when you have to come to terms with yourself.
Sheriff Brian Bailey does things a little different in his jail. He allows churches to mentor to inmates.
This past time during my incarceration was very different from my first time. This time what was different is there was God in the jail.
The longtime drug user says he tried everything to get sober.
I've been to rehabs where they're not so nice, and I've been to rehabs where I had a queen-size bed and a TV to watch and a pool table to shoot pool on and a sauna to, I've been to the best rehabs and I've been to the worst ones, but the difference is your options are gone.
In jail, he had no choice but to detox and soon became a trustee in Sheriff Bailey's program.
From Celebrate Recovery programs to preachers coming in to if you do well enough, you make a blue suit, you actually go out to church. It changed my life.
Those trustees cannot be sex offenders or have committed violent crimes. They get a chance to go to church, and it's all part of the process of one day introducing them back into society.
There's several that need the help. They just need the tools, especially when they step out of jail, when they step back out in society.
Johnny is now an employee for the sheriff. He works as a mechanic, now calling himself one of the lucky ones.
I was one of the lucky ones I consider to be chosen as a trustee here, to where God is really incorporated into this jail.
And that was Mallory Pullen reporting. Today in the State House of Representatives, a bill passed that could help save drug users from fatal overdoses. House Bill 996 would let family members get the medicine Narcan without a prescription. Narcan prevents overdoses, and it can come as a nasal spray. The bill passed unanimously. If you missed our first story on Mississippi's opioid epidemic, you can watch the piece on our website and see more stories of families impacted by addiction on WJTV.com. Now, let's send it over to Ken for a check of our weather.
All right, first thing in the morning, we are expecting cold temperatures. Clear sunny skies, though. We are going to be in the mid-30s, and a huge warm-up is expected during the day tomorrow. As we're going to keep it sunny all day, the air is still going to be dry, and our winds will shift in from the south. That means the weekend is looking fantastic. We'll talk about some rain coming back for next week with the 8-day forecast. That's up next. You're watching WJTV 12. Well, today's weather was beautiful, a lot of sunshine out there, but it was a bit on the chilly side. We had a strong north breeze and temperatures only in the mid-50s for highs. The day before, we were in the low 80s, so a sharp drop in the temperature for today, but we're going to warm right back up starting tomorrow afternoon and through the weekend. Now, the coldest night will be tonight with a high pressure right overhead. We're going to see clear to fair skies, a very light wind overnight. That's going to help our temperature to steadily drop back into the mid-30s by tomorrow morning. But once we warm up during the day tomorrow, we're good to go for Friday afternoon and through the upcoming weekend. Here's a look at Live IMAX 12. A couple of high-level clouds streaming in from the northwest. Don't worry about those. Obviously not rain-producing clouds, and I think actually most places are going to stay nice and clear overnight with those cooling temperatures. In fact, at the 10 o'clock hour, we are already down into the 30s. We're going to drop at least a few more degrees, getting a little bit closer to that dew point number by tomorrow morning. But notice that is above freezing, and I do expect those numbers to stay above freezing by tomorrow morning. Winds right now are calm, so again, that's going to help our temperatures to drop. Clear skies, light winds. That means temperatures dropping into the mid-30s. Up to the north of us will be in the 30s, generally I-20 and points north with a few 40s down in our southern tier of counties. But look what happens tomorrow. A huge warm-up because the air is still going to be relatively dry over the state of Mississippi. We're going to see full sunshine all day long. The main difference, though, between today and tomorrow is the fact that our winds are going to be shifting in from the south at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. And that's really going to push those temperatures up. Remember, starting in the mid-30s, we're going to finish in the lower 70s. So a good 35-degree warm-up or even more in some spots expected for tomorrow. So in the morning, you may have to run the heat, but in the afternoon, you can turn off the heat, raise a window, let some fresh air in. It is just going to be a fantastic day. And the weekend looks good, too, mainly because of this weather maker sliding down to the southeast. The winds around that shifting in from the south. Now, notice we do have some clouds back here to the west of us. As long as we have a south breeze, the humidity will be increasing along with cloud cover, and we do expect that over the weekend. But right now, no rain in the forecast until at least early next week. So the weekend looks good. Tonight, it's going to be cold, though, 36 degrees. We're going to warm it up to about 70 at least for tomorrow, with those winds shifting in from the south and a whole lot of sunshine. Over the weekend, the clouds will be slowly increasing, but notice no rain, and our morning lows are going to be coming up into the 50s and 60s with highs in the mid to upper 70s. So this time of the year, mid-February, it really doesn't get much better than that. Now, next week, we do have a front coming in, and that's going to bring us a chance of rain as early as Monday, and then a storm developing in the Gulf will increase our chances of rain by the middle of next week. But we got a couple of days to watch that system before it gets here.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Okay. When we return, the president is not happy with today's court ruling on his travel ban. We'll explain what he plans to do next after the break. A federal appeals court in San Francisco has ruled against President Trump's travel ban for people from 7 predominantly Muslim countries.
But as Weijia Zhang reports, the issue is far from being resolved.
The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has decided not to overturn a lower court's ruling that put on hold President Trump's travel ban for people from 7 mostly Muslim countries. The unanimous ruling means refugees and citizens from those countries may continue to travel to the United States.
The constitutional provisions at stake are fundamental to who we are as a people.
Washington's Attorney General praised the decision. His state and Minnesota argued the executive order was unconstitutional because it barred entry to the United States based on religion. Seattle-based District Judge James Robart issued a temporary restraining order last week, suspending the ban. The government filed to restore it, but the appellate court said the government did not provide evidence that anyone from the countries on the list had committed a terror attack on U.S. soil.
The court has made it clear the president is not above the law.
Now the Justice Department is reviewing the decision and its options. On Twitter, President Trump vowed to continue the legal battle, saying, "See you in court. The security of our nation is at stake." Mr. Trump told reporters the court's ruling was political, and he's certain he will prevail when another court reviews the legality of his executive order.
It's a decision that will win, in my opinion, very easily.
The case is expected to go all the way to the Supreme Court, but the president's executive order on immigration was set to expire in 90 days, so it could run its course before that happens. Weijia Zhang, WJTV 12.
The Democratic National Committee responded to the ruling, saying in a statement that the court upheld that we do not discriminate based on religion. That's what terrorists do, and that's what terrorists want us to do. Now, let's get a preview of sports with Tyler.
Yes, coming up in sports, see how Victoria Vivians outscored all of Vanderbilt in a half, and how the Rebels fell short against LSU. Plus, Jackson Prep might have a new coach, but the Patriots have not forgotten about falling in the state title game last year. I mean, at all. More after the break. After its senior class got win number 100 by 17 points, a game after winning by 30, life's pretty easy right now for the 4th-ranked Bulldog women of Mississippi State, and really, they're not feeling bad about winning by blowout. The Bulldogs hosting Vanderbilt tonight, and they were not screwing around on defense. Early on, Dominique Dillingham, check this out, got beat baseline, but staying with it for the SWAT. Vandy shot about 24% and didn't have a player in double figures. Under 4 left in the first quarter, Vandy has 2 points, yes. 2. MSU now has 20 thanks to Tierra McCowan. The Bulldogs shot 50% from the field. Second quarter, now it's 26-8. Victoria Vivians was just feeling it. And when that happens, you are in serious trouble. Draining threes and even pull-up jumpers. That one is a 2. Just really whatever she wanted to do. It's 40-8. She outscored all of Vandy in the first half, 21-15. Didn't play much in the second half, so she finished with that. And the Bulldogs win by 45 points. 86-41. Let's go to Oxford now. Matt Insel's team trying to win its 3rd straight game after losing 7 of 8. Second quarter, Ole Miss is down by 16. Really nice passing leads to a cutting Alyssa Alston gliding in for the layup. Let's go to the final seconds of the quarter. Same score. Off of the inbound, Chandrika Sessom gets the tough one to go to beat the clock. She led her team with 14 points, but LSU was just too much in this one. Another great passing display, really. Alexis Hyder will be the one to end up with it, and she'll get the bucket and the foul. The Tigers shot 40 free throws tonight and win this one 62-51. We're moving to the Diamond now. Losing in the championship is always a bittersweet feeling. I mean, it's sweet that you made it that far, but kind of bitter that you couldn't finish the job. Jackson Prep baseball is feeling more of the bitter entering this season. That be because the Patriots didn't lose to just anybody. They fell to the rival Patriots of MRA in the state championship to fall short of a 4-peat last year. Now, Prep is led by new head coach Brent Hevner, who was an assistant with the program from 2010 to 2014. Recapturing the title was obviously the ultimate goal in year 1 for him, but losing last year, especially to MRA, has been eating at his players.
I've had nightmares night after night, going back to that, and it's the first time I've felt that way here at Prep, and I certainly don't want that to happen again, and we've been doing everything possible to make sure that doesn't happen, that we can reclaim the state title again.
They're a rival in everybody's mindset, and that's just a horrible game to lose, especially to them.
Well, TJ and I got to take part in the media home run derby today. There's Mr. Wary, fared a little better than me in terms of distance, but neither of us could really take it out of the park. Shocking, I know. But he repped Buster Posey, I repped Robinson Cano. Giants and a Mariners fan in the middle of Mississippi. I mean, totally
Go
normal,
figure.
right?
That's right.
Great.
That's
yeah.
right.
So,
all right.
It was fun.
Wonderful. Thank you. Ken?
All right, the upcoming weekend looks really good. Once we get past a cold morning tomorrow morning, we're good to go. Highs are going to be in the 70s with a whole lot of sunshine Friday through Sunday. We'll check out the 8-day forecast coming up next. All right, here's a look at the forecast over the next 3 days. Of course, this will take us through the weekend. Cold morning tomorrow morning, but not freezing. We're going to see a huge warm-up during the day with a lot of sunshine, winds coming in from the south. That southerly breeze will increase the humidity over the weekend and the cloud cover. It's going to bring up those morning lows. In the afternoon, it's going to feel great. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Then we get to next week. It's a little bit of a different story. Clouds come in with a front on Monday, just a few spotty showers. A storm develops in the Gulf to our south, of course, and by midweek that will increase our chance of rain, but right now I'm thinking most of the strong storms will stay down to our south.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us tonight at 10.
We're back here again tomorrow, everybody. Until then, make it a good night.